Major oligopolies, conglomerations of megafirms, are forming out of this process, but they are concealed behind a proliferation of apps that give the superficial appearance of diversity. Behind our smartphone screens is growing an infrastructure of automated financial control. Billions of people are being locked into interconnected systems that enable hitherto unimaginable levels of surveillance and data extraction, and bring with them grave new potential for exclusion, manipulation, and delusion. The fight to lock people into dependence on these systems is becoming a geopolitical struggle between major powers, supported by their corporate allies. On first look, individual corporates and governments would appear to be competing for dominance, but closer consideration reveals that they are elbowing each other for position within a growing planetary scale supersystem. It's difficult to glimpse this supersystem in its entirety, partly because it is too large to see, but our routine interactions with a constellation of phones, computers, and sensors, all of which route information to faraway data centers, leave an imprint on us, translating into an uncomfortable sense of living in a world destined to move towards ever greater levels of concentrated interconnection. Some, myself included, feel claustrophobia when we notice this tightening web. I shudder at adverts that showcase the convenience of products that will later attempt to study and steer my behavior. I look at my phone and wonder if, rather than a helpful companion, it is an agent for a sinister force, monitoring aspects of my life previously resistant to formal control. I am not here, however, to argue that the digital world is bad, or that it should be contrasted with some good non-digital world. Public debates are framed as battles between one thing and another, but I see the world more as contradictions. I recognize that we are all caught in complex webs, economic, cultural, and political, that can simultaneously liberate and imprison us. This book is designed to rebalance this skewed digital finance story, which speaks only of liberation. Think of it as a darker yin to contrast with a brighter yang. The contradictions of money and tech. When my brother and I were young, my dad taught us to read topographic maps and sent us off to navigate South Africa's Drakensberg Mountains with only a compass. We thought this made us real tough guys, but in these same mountains 500 years earlier, the indigenous San people had been doing just the same without any technology at all, navigating solely from experience, the stars, and their intuition. Herein lies a contradiction. A tool is, at face value, an instrument we use to impose our will upon the world, like the precious compass my brother and I held tightly as we strode forth. And sure enough, we arrived at the mountain cave before nightfall, proud of our achievement. What we struggle to see, though, is that the tool only functions at the expense of us becoming dependent on it. In using it, we outsource, forget about, and potentially lose part of our inner compass, or never let that inner compass develop at all. Technology is double-sided. We experience it as empowering, and yet it increases our dependency. The external gadgets that support us come to mold our actions and thoughts, as innovations that are initially received as new options but go on to become mandatory necessities. If you live in a major city, you might be able to choose your brand of smartphone, but you cannot really choose whether to use a phone. You had better choose one, or else face exclusion by the socio-economic network that surrounds you and upon which you depend. And this contradiction intensifies when we do not even hold the powerful technologies on which we are dependent. Google Maps, for example, does not exist on my phone. It resides in a distant digital data center, part of what is colloquially nicknamed the cloud, which I access via my smartphone. It is an outsourced sense of direction entrusted to a very large entity far away. Our dependency on Google Maps is recent, a matter of decades. But today, a Londoner's heart is set racing when their phone battery drops to 1%, and the prospect of losing access to that distantly controlled digital oracle looms. We build our lives around these technologies in such a way that